Hey there, guys. Shawn Michael here, with a sore throat, but I'm here and we're ready to talk Microsoft. I'll be talking through the strained voice, so I'm going to be leaning heavily on co-host Sean Ung. How you doing this week, Sean?
Doing great. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, we have all sorts of things to talk about here. Talk Microsoft is the official, I'll say official. No one told me this, but it still says editor on the website, so I'm saying official podcast of On Microsoft, which is now officially launched. So if you actually, right now, I'll do it right now. If I type winbeta.org and hit enter, it magically switches over to
Nice.
onmicrosoft.com, which is OnMSFT, but when said on Microsoft. So I've got a new website layout. They're looking for feedback. We're always looking for news tips as well. So please check that out. Take a look. And yeah, like I said, it's the site just launched a couple days ago. So make sure you let us know how it looks and what you think and how we can improve it. You go bug Ron with your comments and all the web developers and all that stuff. Sean, how you doing this week?
Doing great. It's a beautiful sunny day. You know, it seems to always be rainy, and then on the podcast it's sunny, so I'm happy about that.
There was absolutely horrible weather today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was absolutely dreadful.
I wonder which is worse, Seattle or UK?
Well, I've lived in both, and personally, I didn't mind either as much as you would think.
Oh,
I
wow.
think that it rains in both of them. I'm not denying that it does, but I like them both so much I don't think I cared.
All right, there you go.
But there you go. There's Sean's weather report.
Good.
Well,
Do a little.
we should probably dive in
Yeah.
to the biggest news.
Great.
The biggest news is reports coming out thanks to Mary Jo Foley talking about the possibility, I'll say reports at this point, of x86 emulation could be on the way to Windows 10 ARM devices, which means Windows 10 Mobile. And that means that we could end up running x86 apps. They used to be called apps. I think technically speaking, they still are apps. But usually when people say apps, they mean the new generation of apps. But in any event,
Software.
yeah, software, Win32, whatever, I don't know. There's all these different names for all these different apps. UWA, UWP, whatever. The point is, get x86 virtualization could be in the pipeline for Windows 10 Mobile. I think this is a big deal. You were pretty excited about it. We'll get your thoughts first, and then I'll share mine. What do you think about the possibility of this?
I mean, it's funny because we've been talking about this. It feels like the last 3 episodes, running full Windows software on our phones, right?
Yeah.
So hearing this
It's
news,
like the heart of the podcast, really.
yeah, it's like it's kind of we've been and even I've been checking comments on our videos, and everyone seems to want this feature. So it's like, okay, finally somebody's listening, and hopefully it's gonna come out. It seems pretty exciting. I'm actually secretly hoping. I know it's like a long shot, it's like a moonshot, but I'm secretly hoping a little breath of life might be breathed back into the old Windows RT devices. Just kind of
Doubt it.
You don't think so? To run
Probably
full
technologically possible, but
Windows?
I doubt
Those are ARM devices, right? So
Yeah, but also I'd point out that let me read some of the quotes from this, according to her report. I'm just going to read some quotes here. It says, there's some related to Project Cobalt. It says the Cobalt x86 emulation on ARM is currently on the list of features that Microsoft is planning to make part of the Redstone 3 version of Windows 10 that sources said will be available in fall of 2017. Her sources say that dates line up with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 chip. Other people I've seen say that might end up being the Snapdragon 8. Oh, she says 830. Other people I've heard said 835, but the next Snapdragon chip, which would have the kind of virtualization capabilities that a robust emulator in Windows 10 would require. Also over on Windows Central, them talking about the possibility of opening up Windows 10 Mobile to more RAM. At the moment, it's limited to 3.5 gigabytes of RAM. They could expand that up towards 8. Obviously, it's a big process. A lot of these are reports and kind of insider technology. So if it's lining up with the release of a specific chip, Sean, it's probably going to need newer hardware would be my guess. That's what I've been seeing on the interwebs as well.
yeah.
People seem to be getting, though some people think, I think it was Rubino's report on Windows Central. I think he was saying, guessing, or I don't know, that's probably not the right word because obviously he's got, knowledge and he's very experienced. But I'll say, I think he's saying HP Elite X3 could be a device that could run this. That's currently available. So we'll have to see about older devices versus having to have a new device. But this is a big deal, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I envisioned this as... I honestly didn't see this one coming because I envisioned it as a phone running with an Intel chip that had the ability to run full Windows on it. But this is, in a sense... I don't know if it's the best of both worlds or not, but yeah, I guess it kind of is because the benefit of the ARM chip is low power consumption, right?
Right.
The instant on-off, the really low power consumption when it's in standby. Yeah.
Though I think there might also be a device that's running, I don't know about Intel, but some other processing form. So I mean, we could be getting a few different angles for this type of thing.
So if you had a phone, Sean, that had the ability to, you could press a button and it would open up a full Windows emulation, what kind of apps would you actually run? What kind of software would you run in that emulator?
Well, I mean, I suppose it somewhat depends on how powerful it is. If you're saying within reasonable expectations I could run anything I run on my laptop, that would be great. I don't use a ton of Win32 or, apps. I really don't. Most of the apps I use are universal, but it's the full desktop experience that's coming in there, and then the option to have some of those. There are some legacy things, they just don't seem to come out with universal apps, so anything that's left behind where they have an old version, that's fine. I don't know if gaming would come into effect as well. I think Adobe potentially. Obviously, the idea of having a phone running something like Photoshop, or I mean, I don't think you get a phone running Premiere Pro for quite a few years. But maybe something light like a Photoshop, but just like the regular version.
Yeah.
It depends. If they open up to 8 gigabytes of RAM and then we start getting higher and higher processor chips, maybe not the first gen, but as we get down the line, I do use the Adobe suite. So if there was ever a point that a phone could run that, that'd be tremendous. How about you?
Yeah, I would probably only run it when in Continuum. In fact, if I plugged my phone into a monitor and use it for Continuum or even wirelessly displayed it, I would probably only ever run the emulator when I'm in that mode, right? So I'd have my full Windows, scene set up within the emulator. Anytime I plug my phone into the monitor, that would be my PC with all my software. Google Chrome, I love using that. Photoshop. All my little tools and gadgets that I use, I'd probably just have them all there ready to go. I would switch in a heartbeat.
Yeah, the sad thing for me is that if I'm just being completely honest, if you handed me a phone today and you said, this phone, maybe this is a year from now or whenever this actually, maybe it's not today, but when it comes out, if you said, this is a phone that is as powerful as, I'm running a Surface Pro 2 as mine. I'm on a Dell now, but I mean, my main device is a few years old now, so maybe you can get a phone that catch up eventually.
Uh-huh.
But if somebody said this can be, and Continuum soon is going to have this, if it's in your pocket, it could wirelessly connect and all this, this sort of thing, and that's all fine and to do. But if they said this basically a laptop and a desktop and a phone, and it's got a big screen, so it's a tablet, it's a 4-in-1, it's a 5-in-1, it's a 10-in-1. I would still need it to be a good phone for me to be happy with it.
Yeah.
And to me personally, there's just a few apps in the way that are still a bit restrictive. Now, budget-wise, if I'm running a business-wise, I probably would take that sacrifice. If someone said, this is here, instead of spending $800 on this, $700 on that, this much on this, and then this, they just said, here's one device. It's very compelling. But it would still need to be a phone, and I really do like my Android phone, so it would have to compete with the phone as well. But for an enterprise, for a business, for people trying to get one device for their, I think it's very compelling. I don't know. Would you switch to something like this?
From Android, I guess I would have to sit down and really think hard about it. I feel like if this phone could really replace my Surface, my laptop, my computer, if it could, like when I'm traveling, I would feel like, okay, I don't need to bring my laptop with me. Then yeah, I would definitely switch. It would be one less device to carry. Yeah, it's a good question. Would that actually be possible? What would you do
And
when
that might
you?
be a few years away. This might, like the 950 was one step, and then the HP Elite X3 was another step, and then the Redstone 3 is going to be another step. Where it's going to be a point. We're not talking
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
It's a year away probably. So I mean, you're thinking about. Yeah, I don't know though. To be honest, I think you need to mature Windows 10 Mobile as an operating system, which they're doing. I'm not saying they're not.
hmm
And then, but these continuum improvements, I mean, they're very impressive. I think they will reach a point. Well, Sean, they're marketing the iPad Pro as like a laptop replacement,
yeah,
and that's running a mobile operating system.
yeah,
So even though this is aimed at like enterprise, I think, or at least now Continuum seems to be more enterprise aimed. It could end up being consumer aimed, where they say this is a phone that can replace your Pro tablet.
yeah, yeah.
So something like that. Yeah.
There's also the big screen issue where devices are getting bigger. Even on the Surface line, you're seeing every generation the screen gets bigger, right? Or they're releasing the Surface Book had a much bigger screen. Now you've got even the Surface Pro 4 had a bigger screen than the Surface Pro 3. So now it's like, okay, the phone's gonna kind of go backwards. Can you really replace your laptop with such a small screen? I don't think that's possible.
No, but I think what you would get is something like this HP. I don't even know what they call it, the lap dock for the
Yeah,
HP Elite X3.
yeah,
If you got that, but there was this I don't know why I'm twisting on that word. I'm saying if you could emulate
yeah,
x86 programs, and it would also work on this HP lapdog or a Microsoft equivalent, or another company makes one, some would say, well, you're still carrying around a laptop and a phone. Well,
yeah,
that is true, but the laptop gets to be mostly batteries with the phone doing processing.
yeah,
And then you also don't need to do as much like Wi-Fi syncing.
yeah,
People
yeah,
seem to think, they say, why would you want this? If you have a computer and you have a laptop and a phone. Well, no, what did you say? When you travel, what if you could bring one less device?
yeah. I think I would like that. I would love everything to be on one device. So
How
that
about what I go to university? It is very normal in a university setting to go to a study room or a library, and there's a monitor that doesn't have a computer attached to it.
Yeah,
And the idea that I could bring my files and I don't need to log into OneDrive and OneNote and my email and Huddle and all this other stuff,
yeah,
I just bring it. It's there.
yeah,
That's a big plus.
yeah,
That's a big plus. And it doesn't need to be a special monitor either. It just needs to be
yeah.
a monitor.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential. It may not be for everyone, but I can see a lot of people using this. I mean, even, not even, it's just students and business people, but developing countries, a lot of those people are using phones
Yeah.
as their
Yeah.
primary computing device. And yeah, if that phone could have full Windows emulation capabilities, hey, that's kind of, filling that whole niche as well, too.
And I've always said this, the technology that's new today is old in a very short amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
And so if in 1 or 2 years it needs to be the Snapdragon 835, in 3 years the Snapdragon 835 level tech is not going to be as pricey.
Yeah.
And you're going to start seeing lower level phones get it. So that's when people say Microsoft is Windows is dead, Windows 10 Mobile's dead, Windows Phone is dead. They're developing it.
Yeah.
It might not be the way you want it to be developed. It might not even be a way that's successful. But I just think it's downright ignorant. It's either stupid, stubborn, or stuck up if you don't think Windows 10 Mobile is being developed. But you can still have an opinion that you think it'll fail.
Uh-huh.
But I just think you're wrong if you're claiming it's not being worked on.
Yeah. Yeah. If Windows RT, rest in peace, Windows RT, if they had full Windows emulation capabilities, I don't think it ever would have died. So, yeah, I think that if Windows Mobile is gonna survive, it really needs this. It's gonna have to be a key component,
I
right?
actually think you're getting to a point where Windows RT is getting replaced in function by Windows
It
10
it
Mobile.
it, it really is. Yeah, it's Windows 10 Mobile is what Windows RT should have been, right?
Yeah. So they had three, and now they're trying to get to 2/1. I mean,
Yeah.
technically, there'll probably
Yeah.
still always be two, but I mean, no, I think it's great. I think it's great. I think that it's Microsoft has admitted that they haven't done well in the traditional phone space. This is the future.
Yep.
Continuum is something that they are going to push and push and push. And then someday, Sean, I'll have my Continuum smartwatch.
Yes.
Oh.
What I'm really excited about also is if this comes to the HoloLens, right? Because now
Yeah.
you can actually emulate full. You can have your full Windows computer, emulated on the HoloLens. Because HoloLens is an ARM processor, right? So if you can have that, if I can have full Windows on my HoloLens without having to remote into somebody else's computer, I think that would be pretty cool. I would
Then you
like
could
that a
just
lot.
sit in your room and you'd have your computer right in front of you.
Yeah. In fact, I'd be
But it would
very
be,
disappointed if they didn't bring this to HoloLens because it makes a little too much sense.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, there you go. Well, maybe on a somewhat related story, we're talking here. I think it's sad that more developers don't make universal Windows applications. I admit if you have a phone only app, I can see why you don't.
hmm
But I think that many should. And you see things like there are some very good apps that are universal Windows apps, and I'm very impressed by many of them, not just Microsoft made ones, but just in general.
Hmm.
Also, are you sure that the HoloLens is an ARM processor, Sean?
I thought it was, but I could be wrong.
Some
But
people are saying it's Atom, so if it is, sorry
all,
about that,
all,
guys.
all the more reason to bring the capability to run full Windows on there.
But anyway, it makes me a little sad when I see companies that won't develop. When you see something like 400 million active or 400 million down or upgrades to Windows 10,
uh-huh.
and then they won't make an app. And I'm just sitting here thinking, why? Why? And I don't know. Maybe it's usage stats. Maybe they don't. Maybe they feel like people on a desktop will use a browser or something. But I don't know. I'm just frustrated sometimes, and sometimes it comes to specific apps. So there was a new UWP toolkit made available. It's toolkit, I think 1.2, and then I wanted to springboard that into developing apps for Windows. Are there some specific apps that you get particularly sad about? And I'm not just talking about mobile. I'm talking about they haven't made a universal Windows application.
Hmm.
Maybe they're still using a desktop version. Maybe they won't upgrade from their old 8.1 version. I don't know. Are there some apps that you miss?
I use. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Actually, I am sad when the companies have upgraded their apps to universal apps. Because just for one reason, the full screen issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are. What makes me sad is when I see developers that started developing for Windows, in the App Store and developing universal apps, and then they announce, oh, we're no longer going to support Windows. To me,
Yeah.
that's like going against the grain, going the other way. I think PayPal did that. A few others did that too. Yeah, so
Amazon did it as Amazon stopped supporting their old version.
yeah, so it's like that. That makes me really sad. But yeah, I use a YouTube app called Hyper for YouTube. They haven't really updated that to a universal app yet, I don't think. So that I'm really looking forward for them to bring that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Skype, they could do a better job on Skype, but we talked about that already.
Yeah. Yeah, the Skype preview's getting there. It's getting better. But
hmm
yeah, I get a little frustrated by like like I said, I switched to this Android phone for I don't know if I've told people that. My wife's on an old phone while I wait for repairs for a new one, and this one's got some bugs, so I'm on it for a bit. And I'm getting that taste of what it's like to be fully supported. And I don't want this to turn into like a big app gap thing. That's not what I'm trying to make it about. This is, to me, why not make something for a PC? Because Windows 10 isn't going anywhere. Even if you didn't bring it to phones, I'm just surprised that more developers won't make apps for Windows 10. They
Yeah.
must not view it as like an app ecosystem.
No, they don't.
They must view it as, and I've known people. I know a guy who has a Surface who literally doesn't even have the store like running on it and didn't care.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what these devs are seeing. I don't know how you fix that.
I open up the Windows Store about once a month, and I'm always so happy when I open it. I'm like, wow, look at all these cool apps. But I admit, I don't go in there as often as I want to.
I'll give you an example that's frustrating. I don't game much. But what was this game? I don't know if it was Battlefield. There was some shooting game. I'm sorry, gamers. I know you'll hate me. They made a version that was available on multiple Windows-related platforms, but they didn't implement crossplay, and they could have. There was nothing preventing them from doing that.
Yeah.
They just didn't. And you say, why did you take this time to make two apps compatible with Windows 10 and maybe Xbox or whatever, and then not put in crossplay and all the things that you could? Windows, why even make it if you're not going to support it? I'm sure Microsoft, if you call them up, I'm sure they're willing to help you. They want these level 1 developer, these grade A developer, they want them, these big title makers, to use the tools that they have, the APIs that are available, Xbox integration, Windows 10. They want this to be here. I'm sure they would help you. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Thanks, Lewis. Why wouldn't you do that? Why do you even bother? And then just leave. I'm sure it took hours upon hours upon hours to make the games that you've made. But then you'll skip some of the most beneficial things that you could have. And I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I know for other apps, for non-game apps, a lot of the reason that developers probably don't bother is because on a Surface or on a Windows 10 device, in most cases, you're not really forced to use the app like you are on a phone, right?
That's true.
So if Google made, or let's take Amazon for example, they had an app for ages. I never used their app. I just went to the Amazon website. I used their app a few times, and I'm like, oh, this is way less powerful than the website, right? And I feel like Google Maps might be the same thing. If Google brought a lot of their apps, Gmail and all that kind of stuff, I'd be like, oh, the website's way better.
Yeah, but it's not touch optimized.
Not touch.
That's one that bugs me. Have you tried using Chrome with touch?
Oh yeah, it's not too friendly.
It doesn't snap right. I mean, I've had it snap now, but sometimes it doesn't snap right. It's not always touch friendly. I don't know. I Google, that's like a whole episode on why Google won't make anything. You didn't even mention YouTube as an app. You said, I use this YouTube app.
Yeah, it's a third-party app, yeah.
So I get upset a little bit with these people that I understand them feeling a bit burned if they made a Windows 8 app and then, how many apps do I have to make? But Windows 10's here to stay.
Yeah.
I would say, please, developers, at least look at it. There are people who know this ecosystem. I've seen third-party apps that are better than first-party equivalents. Hire them. Hire these people. That's what Dropbox did.
Yeah.
Rudy Kuhn had a Dropbox app. I think it was called SixCloud back in the day. And then Dropbox just hired him.
Yeah.
Just do that. Find a guy who's making a YouTube app. Google. Have him make it.
Have you ever used an iPad, Sean?
Not extensively. Not gonna lie.
So my first tablet before I got the Surface, before the Surface was out, actually was an iPad, and you could actually download iPhone apps to the iPad, and it would just show up as a smaller screen, and you could blow it out and zoom it, and it was awesome because every app that you could download for the iPhone, you could download to the iPad. I feel like Apple had it from the very beginning as far as universal apps, and that's what if right now today I could download any app for my Surface that's on Windows Phone, I think that would be amazing, right? So they're trying so hard to push universal apps. I don't know. I don't know why it's so complicated.
I know coding is complicated. If it was easy, I would do it right now.
Yeah.
You said, man, make that on Microsoft app. Man, I'll go get hired, make somebody a YouTube app. But I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying there are people investing time.
Yeah.
I wish other companies would invest that time.
Yeah.
Not for everything. I don't think you need an Amazon app that's too powerful. Though people did like the scanning and stuff. But some things I think, app you don't really need. Touch interfaces, scalability, resizing. Those are things that are important to me. Notifications.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like apps.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think everyone's wanting Snapchat to come to Windows, right?
They say that. I don't Snapchat, but yeah.
I don't either, but I keep hearing that comment over and over again.
Anyway, do you want to move on to this mannequin challenge thing?
Yeah. So
you want to do a mannequin challenge?
So I've just recently heard about this mannequin challenge. It seems to be the next new viral thing that's kind of taking over.
By the time this is out, it'll probably be dead.
Yeah. That's kind of how it's like the ice bucket challenge. It's kind of like Pokemon Go. It's huge spike. Everyone's doing it, and then you wonder where it went. But yeah, so Microsoft is jumping on the mannequin challenge bandwagon. So if you are fortunate enough to have a HoloLens, which I am, you can actually take part in this challenge using one of the apps called ActionGram, and you can put little props all over and do the mannequin challenge. So what I want to know from the viewers is, what kind of mannequin challenge would you guys do if you had the HoloLens? Or what about you, Sean? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. If I was using a HoloLens, I'd want to be surrounded by like things that are just ridiculous. I'd want like flames or projectiles. Did you see that guy that made like a Pokemon Go HoloLens thing where he made like, I don't know if it was a he or she, honestly. I think it happened to be a guy, but like made a 3D models.
Yeah.
I don't know who the person was. He or she made like 3D models of Pokemon. I'd want like a Pokemon mannequin challenge, just like a Charizard right next to me, and I'm just acting like it's normal, and then all of a sudden it breaks. What about you?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about possibly doing something with my kids and some of the action and adventure props in there. I'm not sure. So for those viewers who have no idea what the mannequin challenge is, it's basically this viral trend that has kind of taken over the internet, where you record everyone kind of frozen in emotion, right? So you might have like 10, 20, 30 people, and they're all like in the middle of maybe like punching somebody, or somebody's like in the middle of cooking, or it's like these really unique, funny actions. And it's not like you've taken a still picture. You actually have to walk around the scene because it's people who have just frozen in place, right? So that's what the mannequin challenge is, and the more unique and creative you can make it, the better it kind of looks and feels. And it actually is cool. If you've watched a few of these videos, mannequin challenge videos, it's actually pretty cool. It's quite entertaining to watch.
You know my favorite one?
Which one?
Have you seen the one with the dog?
No, I haven't.
I don't know how they trained a dog to do this. It's like, I don't know what kind of dog it is. It's like a bigger dog.
A dog that holds still? Is that even exist?
What was that?
A dog that can hold still?
He's perfectly still.
Wow.
I don't know how they've trained this dog so well. But he'll be sitting in like human-esque positions, like sitting on a couch watching TV, but it's a dog. Anyway, so you should make a HoloLens mannequin challenge.
I'm planning to. I was hoping to get some ideas, but yeah, I've got several ideas that I'm gonna be working with. It should be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, do you want to talk a bit about quantum computing? I'm going to give a little example here of neural networks and and that type. Well, first I'll go over with the typing. There's this new thing out. It's called LightKey. It makes typing, I'll say, more efficient. I'm not sure it's actually more efficient based on the video I've seen. It's like autocorrect, but for a keyboard. I don't use autocorrect to predict words as much as correct typos. So in that sense, if it just auto-fix typos, maybe it would help me. But the idea that like if I type, I'm just reading random words, downloading, and if I got down L and then had to press tab, by the time I remembered I could do that, I probably could have just typed downloading.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. So they're working on this. It's free. They want to, as you type, it's actually pretty clever. I check out the video that's in our story about it. Um, you have, it'll learn based on what you're doing. So like if you're emailing one person, it would give you different suggestions than if you were like writing notes. So it's pretty clever. And I think that technologies like this are really cool, whether it's SwiftKey or neural network that's learning about translating or that type of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
Yep.
But my question to you, Sean, and the listeners and viewers is does autocorrect in the term of predicting words actually help you as a typist, or do you just use it more to correct things?
Oh man, so I use SwiftKey on my phone, right? And I think Microsoft bought SwiftKey, right? I don't know if this is integrated into LightKey at all.
I don't think they bought SwiftKey. I think they bought. There's a different. I'll look it up. You go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was SwiftKey, but yeah, I use it quite a bit on my phone because, and I've tried turning off autocorrect on my phone. And when I turn off autocorrect on my phone, my thumbs hit all the wrong letters. Like it's completely a mess. I've got like 20% accuracy with what I type on my phone. So autocorrect definitely helps me a ton on the phone. Now with typing on a keyboard, I don't know. I can't envision how that's a good idea because
no, I don't think
that
so.
scares me, to be honest.
I think when you're on a keyboard, you're often typing things that just look at this story that I had up. Cobalt X86 emulation on all caps ARM. If you just type that, they would probably correct it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, I think it's cool about these technologies that learn, though. SwiftKey, like you said, they do that as well. Yeah. And it's interesting. You start typing, and then it suggests and corrects to words that you're more likely to say. I think it's pretty cool.
Now, I do think there are people out there who have a lot of people actually who have a little bit of a tougher time typing. There's always spelling mistakes. There's always typos and typing is a little bit more of a challenge. And I think for people like that, I think this is perfect. Or if you're just learning to type, I don't know. If you're just learning to type, you might be spoiled by this. I'm not sure. It's a good question. Will this help in the long run or hurt? Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
I think it's just for regular typing. I'm trying to read the comments here, but yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know much about your quantum computing story. Is this? Do you want to talk about that, or maybe this is related to the kind of general processes that we're talking about?
This is just talk Microsoft. So just what's Microsoft up to? So one of the things they're up to is they're really pushing forward quantum computing, which is interesting. It's been around for a while, and to see that they're really pushing to try and make apps that are optimized for quantum computing. So if you've heard anything at all about quantum computing, it's not going to make games run faster or anything like that. It's more for like cracking encryption keys and trying to do stuff where that just takes regular computers way, way too long, like millions of years to do. So I think it'd be interesting. A lot of the neural network stuff, Sean, that definitely falls under what a quantum computer would be good at. Anything that requires a computer to look at a lot of different things at the same time, machine learning, maps,
contextualized data.
Yeah, and big data, trying to process a lot of data at the same time. I think all those are really good uses for quantum computing. So it's exciting to see that Microsoft's jumping in this space. I still think it's sci-fi technology in the sense that we're probably 20 years out from seeing anything real happening. Not that it's not being used; they're actually being used right now, but in very they're not widespread.
Yeah. I think, obviously there's many things you can use. For me personally, one of the technology I've been most impressed with when it comes to that is translation. And neural, this neural networks to learn and improve translation is
Yeah.
kind of the step that Microsoft's taking. So I don't know if they use quantum computing. I'm not going to lie and pretend that I do. Make an easy segue if it was. But machine learning and improving translation to me
Yep.
is so impressive. I made a video probably about a year and a half ago now where I had a friend that's fluent in Spanish, Italian, and English, and we've spoken various languages as
Wow.
well, I spoke in English and he spoke in various languages, and my Skype translated it,
Mm.
and it did pretty well. And that was when it was still really new.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
thanks to this type of thing, yeah, it's like Babel fish, you know. And thanks to this type of thing and this type of computing where they can process this data, they can make it better. So I always wanted to do a follow-up video. Maybe I could find him again. I mean, I still know him, so I could talk to him. Maybe he'd be willing to do a follow-up video. Let's see if Skype's gotten any better at
Nice.
translating.
Now, when it
But
translated,
yeah,
it's all in text, right? It doesn't
no,
voice
no,
it
no, no,
off.
voice.
Oh, it does. Oh, wow. Okay. I actually haven't
Yeah,
tried that yet.
yeah, it was. It's built into the Skype, at least the Skype Preview UWP.
Okay.
And I think it's on Skype on some of the other platforms as well. You can just translate. Let me see if it has the icon here. I don't know if it's on regular Skype or not. I know on Skype, the preview one, the Universal app, it is right there. It used to
Nice.
be a separate app while they were processing it and stuff, but now it's just there. It wasn't perfect, but man, it certainly would have gotten you through in a pinch. And if you both had like a HoloLens on,
Oh,
forget
man.
about it, mate. You just walk around universally translating everything.
As soon as my HoloLens can start translating for me, I'm going to go straight to China or somewhere. I'm just going to go.
Can your HoloLens run Skype UWP?
uh, is it UWP? I think it is, but it's a version 4 HoloLens, so you can still see like
So
all
if we
the.
got you the Skype with Translate, but then you'd have to carry on another HoloLens
I don't know.
because you'd have to speak through the HoloLens.
That's starting to get expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it is cool. And they now, Microsoft, I'll just read some of this here. Let's see, blah, blah, getting used to it. It says, I'm just reading a quote here from the report. Neural networks are making inroads into machine translation industry, providing major advances in translation quality over existing industry standard statistical machine translation. That sounds very techy. Anyway, because of how the technology functions, neural networking better capture the context of full sentences before translating them, providing much higher quality and more human-sounding output. And that is a big deal. I haven't studied another language well. I studied French forever and sucked at it. I studied sign language, though, for a bit, which actually, that's a whole different thing. I think they might be using hand pose for that if they ever did. But that being said, context is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, the meaning of the word have, for example. You have to do something or you have something.
Yeah.
Just like some sort of word-for-word translation would get very confused by that.
Oh yeah.
So when you put it into context, it makes it much better. And that's one of these end games of these computing. It's very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good. Yeah, because when you translate, you never want to do word for word. It's very difficult. Yeah, you want the essence of what you want to translate the essence of what they're saying, and it might be completely different words than what they actually said, right?
Yeah. You know, I don't want to. Let's see. I'm going to trim out some details. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I knew someone that was messaging another person, and they were both speaking in another language. And one of their significant others was now this relationship's over, so maybe it's fine to give out some of these details. But long story short, they just took one of the conversations and put it into like Google Translate to try to see what was going on.
Oh wow.
But some of it doesn't translate directly, and it came off worse than it was.
Oh.
So that's when this context comes in. It's got to be careful.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you know, humans have such a hard time with it. It'll be impressive if computers can get it right.
Do you speak any other languages?
I used to speak Japanese quite well, but that was 20 years ago, and I've forgotten most of it. I took a little bit of Chinese, but yeah, you know, not enough to be conversational. Yeah, a few other languages here and there. Mostly English, though.
Looks like I'll have to call Cesar up and see if he can help them.
Yeah, I always joke that, in Chinese, ni hao ma is, always translated how are you, but literally, the literal translation is you good? You good? Which actually sounds a lot better too.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be excited. It's completely not related to this, but I'm just on a kick now. This 2 years ago. This is a story I wrote. Microsoft hand pose may interpret ASL. Yeah, there you go. They actually had cameras there working on interpreting American Sign Language. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
another thing from scene learning to figure out.
Yep, absolutely. All sorts of cool stuff coming our way.
Yeah. Anyway, let me do a bit of gaming and then we can jump into your VR stuff. And that's probably it for today.
Sounds good.
15-year anniversary of the Xbox came, went, kind of happened between two shows.
Yeah.
You're not a huge Xbox guy, are you?
I've got an Xbox One. I don't play a lot of games on it, but yeah, I keep up on Xbox news every now and then.
Here's my thing. Did you have any idea that gaming would be this big 15 years ago?
I could have guessed that gaming would have been big. I would have never have guessed that Xbox would be this big. That Xbox would be one of the titans to overshadow Nintendo and go head to head against Sony. I think that's when I think about it, I'm like, wow, how did Microsoft do that? So it's because when they first released the original Xbox, they were still a stuffy kind of office company, right? Everyone had a different. I'm just amazed at how Microsoft has changed its image. That's a hard feat to do, and they've done it well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that I had an N64. My friend had a PlayStation 1, and I guess if you had said 15 years ago that Nintendo would have a console that a lot of people laughed at, and that the PS4 and then Xbox One would be the dominant scenes, I don't know if I would have believed you.
Yeah.
Of course, I was also like 8 at the time, so I probably wouldn't argue that much. But in any event, so there's been a lot of growth for the Xbox One. I'm excited to see where its future is. I hope more people develop apps for it.
Yeah.
Because I use it for media. But
I have to say, I love the Xbox. I don't play a lot of games on there, but yeah, I just love the way it is. I am really sad about the Kinect. I feel like they stripped away a lot of my favorite features, and I'm not sure why. I feel like they need to push the Kinect harder, but I don't know if the hardware is just not there. But overall, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, overall, I love the Xbox, just the interface, the community around it. I love how attentive the Xbox team is to feedback. It seems like whenever there's a huge piece of feedback, it's like not even 3 to 6 months, and they're already trying to incorporate it in there. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
I'll say one thing about the Xbox One, and then we'll move on, or at least I'll move on. You can add whatever you want. I'm a little jealous of Xbox One users in America.
Oh, really? Why?
Because there are some apps and services that don't work in the UK.
Ah, okay.
I'll give you an example of something I would probably look into. I can't guarantee I would do it, but it's called Sling TV.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We only have one TV in the house. We share it, and Sling TV is great for that kind of setup. It's a cable replacement kind of thing. You pay for certain channels, you pay for a base package, and then you can add a sports package on top of that. I don't think you can get that here. And there's just various apps that just don't work. And that's true in general for me. There's also, I was trying to listen, there's radio.com. Doesn't work in the UK. I can listen to it online, but I can't use the app.
Ah, really? Interesting.
I don't know why that's what they do, but
we've talked about that too. I don't understand that either.
What was that?
We talked about that too, a few weeks ago. Why it would work on a web browser, but why they're banned from making the app for it? That's beyond me.
Well, and this why I literally listened to, and it's not illegal. I literally went to like you can listen to this radio channel because they stream online. I listened to it for hours this morning because my team, the Redskins won. I love the Redskins. There's this big win. I wanted to hear them talk about it. I can listen to the podcast afterward on an app. I can listen to it live on a browser, but I can't listen to it through an app because the app won't be downloaded on the other side of the pond. And those types of things make me envious of U.S. users of Windows products.
Hmm. Very cool.
Anyway, do you want to talk about VR stuff?
Yeah, yeah. So there's a little bit of not huge news, but just recently released that the specs for the new VR headsets that Microsoft announced, they've been released. So let me tell you what those are. It's actually pretty encouraging because the specs are pretty low. So most people who have a Windows 10 PC will be able to use this. All you need is 4 gigs of RAM, USB 3.0, DirectX 12, which pretty much everyone has, and a CPU with 4 cores, and of course 1 gigabyte of free storage. So pretty low bar. I mean that's not a powerful PC. That's in budget PC territory. So pretty encouraging to hear about that. For people who might not have been in the loop, Microsoft at their October 26th event, they announced that there are going to be a bunch of third-party VR and AR headsets, virtual reality and augmented reality headsets coming to the Windows holographic platform, which is the same exact platform that the HoloLens runs. So you'd be able to plug these headsets into your computer and be transported into a new world. And everyone who's making a HoloLens app right now, those apps will also work on these new VR headsets because it's all in the same ecosystem. So pretty cool, in my opinion. Really low price points, which is nice. You don't need a powerful PC. The devices are supposedly supposed to start at $299. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. About that.
I guess, I mean, obviously you could have some sort of really high level VR that took really high specs for certain graphic computing, but there are phones that can do VR.
Yeah.
So the idea that a computer couldn't, I mean, obviously you can find one that can, but I have a hard time believing that there are phones that run VR that aren't that powerful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I'm
even
not surprised.
the HoloLens itself technically is not that powerful in terms of it's an Atom chip, right? It's either an ARM or an Atom chip. I think everyone's saying
They
it's an
said
Atom
Atom
chip.
in the
It
comments.
said
I'll trust
Atom,
them.
so let's go with Atom. So it's an Atom chip. That's not super powerful,
Oh.
But it's compared to like HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, where okay, the devices are like $500 to $1,000, but then you need a massively powerful PC. It doesn't. Those do not work on laptops. You need something with a huge graphics card. You need to
Yeah.
drop like $1,500, right?
Well, I think it depends what you're using VR for. I mean, like I said, there's high-level graphic computing where you're going to need that, and I'm not saying it doesn't. Of course, it exists. But there's also like I'm using a VR headset to watch 360 YouTube videos. Like that doesn't need to be
No.
as advanced as I'm living in a virtual world playing Halo laser tag. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Anyway.
absolutely. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Just kind of, I guess that's good news, that those specs were released because everyone can have a nice big sigh of relief. And I will definitely be getting one of those VR headsets when they come out. I'm super excited about that, actually.
Maybe we could do a live stream of you on VR.
Yes. I can't wait.
Someday.
All right.
All right, then. Well, I think that's about time to wind up. What do you think?
I think that sounds good.
Going a little shorter today, about 50 minutes today. Little itty bitty bit of podcast. Save off those 10 minutes. Yeah. All right, then. Well, this has been Talk Microsoft. As always, I'm one of your hosts or co-hosts. My name is Sean Michael. You can find me on Twitter at Sean_Michael_UK. And you can find Sean Ong on Twitter
At Sean_Ong.
And also, you can check out OnMicrosoft.com. If you're used to wingbeta.org, it's now on Microsoft.com. So check out the new site. Let us know what you think. Share your feedback. Check there for the latest Microsoft and Windows-related news. And Sean's got his YouTube channel, service tips and tricks and all that sort of thing as well. You can join us live. At the same time, at least for a while, doing the same time, probably in the middle of your workday. Thanks for skipping work to watch the podcast. Appreciate it. If you're at Microsoft headquarters right now, hello, get back to work. No, I'm just kidding. Do what you want. Just don't get fired because we like what you're doing most of the time. Not all the time, though. Anyway. Thanks, guys. I guess we'll see you on the next one. See you at the same time next week. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.